Some people have never even heard of an essential oil. They've done gardening the way they've done gardening for so many years that when you tell them, you know, if you planted this plant next to this plant and use this essential oil, you know, your strawberries are going to taste different. They kind of go, oh my God, really? Well, welcome everybody. I'm really glad to see so many faces. I just have been using essential oils for quite a number of years, mostly personally, and I just find I love gardens, and I wanted to share what I knew about using the essential oils in the garden, and we're also going to be talking about plant teas. I grew up in northern Alberta, close to a little place called Grand Prairie, and of course my parents, my grandmother also lived with us on the farm, and she had this beautiful garden which as a little girl I loved because it had these beautiful big peony bushes in each of the corners, and then within her vegetables she had all these flowers. So it was like a fairyland in this little garden. And so that was probably imprinted in my head because I spent many hours with her, and I just loved her garden. Essential oils are the essence of the plant that deters the bugs from eating it. It's also the fragrant aromatic heart of the plant that attracts bees and pollinating insects. It is the chemical component in the tiny plant cells that is liberated during the distillation process. And so distillation, there's different kinds. There's usually water, they use steam, and in that steam the essential oils rise up with the steam, and then they separate the water from the oil. And so that's probably the most common way of distilling them. It takes large quantities of plant material to get a small bottle of essential oil. Some of the different parts of the plant that the essential oils are derived from, I'll give you an example. From the bay oil is derived from the leaves. Ginger oil is derived from the roots. Cinnamon oil comes from the cinnamon bark from the tree. Rose oil is from the flower petals of the rose. The use of essential oils in plants and the whole understanding of nature was very sacred, and it was always connected to temples and that sort of thing. You see that very often in all the different cultures. Getting into the part of making the teas, I'm using lavender, and lavender in the garden is good for black flies, black fly beetles, gnats, lice, moths, and plant lice. So I'm going to use 8 drops for every 2.5 cups of boiled water. So I'm going to stir this up, and this is that's going to take that oil, and it's just going to disperse it through the whole, doesn't that smell? Yeah. Everybody's going to feel good after this. That was the first blend, and this one, you would let it cool now. So, and then you would take 2 tablespoons of that, and you would put it into, let's say, a watering can, fill it up with a gallon of water, and then you can just water your row, you know, do a border around a plant, because it's actually the aroma that wards off, yeah, like even if the pest is right on the plant, the aroma is going to just chase them off. I had a situation where I was living in a house, and outside of my living room window, the people had a a stack of wood that they were using in their fireplace. And so this firewood, of course, is like a huge magnet for carpenter ants. And so come spring, you know, everything's looking lovely, and I'm seeing these ants coming in my window, and I'm like, oh no, I do not want carpenter ants all through my house. So I made a peppermint blend, and then I actually got quite aggressive, and I actually put straight peppermint on these little cotton balls, and I just ran it down the window, and then I stuffed it in every little hole that I could find. And within 2 or 3 days, no more carpenter ants. The other way you can do it is to use string. You dip your string into your water. I won't do it I won't actually dip it in, but, and then you would just run your string through your row of vegetables. So you just weave it in and just lay it in, and you can just pull it back out, redo it, lay it back in. If you're having a garden party and you're getting bugged by mosquitoes and whatever, I brought this. It's super pretty, but also you dip that in, get it nice and soaked, and then we're just going to hang that somewhere. And the scent of that is just going to permeate, and you can hang lovely little ribbons or whatever around your garden, and just, you know, if you're having a barbecue or whatever, just hang these and just dip it in and the scent will just keep all the bugs away. Basically, if you use the actual plant material, you would be making a plant tea. So it's almost, you would be the distiller, and when we get to the plant teas, really what you would be doing is using that lavender in the water, and then the water becomes undifferentiated, like the essential oil is still in the water, versus distillation where they distill it, the oil is in the steam, and then they take out the water, and then you're left strictly with the essential oil. So that's why they're so potent, versus doing a plant tea where the oil is just, it's in the water. You'll be able to smell it. It's sort of like lavender water back in the days, or rose water, right? You use those petals and just let it steep. Using plant teas is a great way to add nutrients, because you want to make your plants as strong as possible, and the stronger they are, the healthier they are, the more they can resist pests. So even if pests try to, you know, move in, they don't do much damage. The plant is strong enough. One of the plants that's great for using to make plant tea is nettles. They contain nitrogen, silica, iron, proteins, phosphates, folic acid, mineral salt, and trace elements. And when they're grown between any type of currant, they will increase the size and taste of the currants. Yeah, and if they start taking over, you just cut them down and make plant tea. The thing about making plant teas, when the essential oils are the highest in a plant, is in the early morning before the sun hits the plant. What using essential oil blends and plant teas do is use, they are also a chemical, but they're a natural chemical. So they don't throw the system out of balance. Nature knows how to deal with it because it comes from nature. It's sort of when we put things into our bodies that our body doesn't recognize, it becomes toxic to us. So this is sort of the same thing with nature. We can use these essential oils, which were derived from nature, and put them back into nature and use them. And nature is so much smarter than any of us. She's already figured this all out, and we're just starting to relearn this. So it's wonderful information, and I hope it inspires you to start using them, you know, do your own research and find ways to use them in your own home and your garden.